What's good, y'all? Hope this sound is good. For now, I had to use some little copyright-free music until I have some time to make my own beats. Yes, I do make beats. I do a lot of things, y'all. Any type of artist, I do that. But anyway, so it's just nice sometimes to do some alchemy in real time with how I'm communicating. So, a lot of times, if I were to be by myself, meditating, welcoming in different information, as they call them, downloads, um, I would be listening to some instrumental music and just allowing the thoughts to filter through that frequency. So every color, every note, every letter, every number is its own cosmic code. Inside of each color, every hue, every shade is its own code, and it's filled with unlimited information. What it decodes is the frequency of that instance. So, for example, a colors that are like lavender, violet, lilac, they fall between the crown and the third eye chakra. And so this color, they say purple represents royalty, right? Every single significance, even the mainstream ones, they're derived from occultism. Because as you know, Hollywood runs all of these institutions. I didn't mean to say that, but that's true too. But behind Hollywood, the government, the music industry, every major institution, there are occultists who are adept at knowing how to utilize these different tools to program the minds of the masses and to have them focus all of their energy on the things that they want us to be focused on, so that we're not spending that time sitting in a dark room by ourselves in silence or listening to some music, ideally music without lyrics, to just allow that divine intelligence to come through. Because ideas and information, like a lot of what I share here, it doesn't belong to anyone. It's available in the quantum field, and it's ready for anyone who has expanded their subconscious awareness enough to catch it. And so the more you expand that space, you're tapping into that aspect of you that is much more than this one little human instance. This access to you this aspect of you that has access to the Akashic records and everything that exists there. They call it the collective conscious. Really, it's more like a collective unconscious, as the vast majority of people are operating out of their conscious minds with little to no awareness of how that's being filtered through their subconscious. And how they say that the average human only utilizes, what did they say, 20%, 15%? It's a very low number of their brain. But once you tap into your subconscious, you're being able to, and not only tapping into the subconscious, because everyone does that. And actually what you see in a lot of mentally ill people, I think I talked about this on my one video about the subconscious mind and how they, break and program different celebrities, like with MK Ultra and all that stuff, and how it creates a fragmented realms in the mind that someone can't navigate back and forth from in a fluid way. And so the majority of people are not really aware that they have access to so much information that is beyond what they've been taught in school or church, or that just, anywhere. They could just take that information directly from source, because we are all connected to source. Every instance of separation is an illusion. And so the more that you expand your subconscious awareness, what you're doing, right? Consciousness is awareness. So when you're when you're expanding your conscious awareness, you are combining the power of the subconscious and the conscious mind. You're creating a bridge, a solid foundation in between both of those realms, because the subconscious mind is its own realm. The conscious mind is also its own realm. And so when we're able to create a bridge between both realms and decide that we want to navigate between them, decide how we want to do that, when we want to do that, expanding our awareness allows us to do that. So you're not only aware of what's on your conscious mind, but you're able to have a lot more options when you're actually aware and can observe your subconscious mind. So that is where fourth dimensional thinking comes in. That's being the observer of your own mind, like as if you were looking in on it from an exterior perspective. We actually all do this all the time. We just don't do it intentionally. That's why when people talk about intention is everything, it doesn't mean that intention is enough, but it means that intention is very impactful. So when it comes to how we're able to use our mind, this is key. This is key to self-mastery, because it's not about the brain, okay? The brain is a product of the mind. The mind is non-local. So that means that the mind does not physically reside in any one place. The brain is not the same thing as the mind. The brain is one physical manifestation of the mind. We created everything through the mind. Not the brain, but the mind. And so the brain is one physical place, one physical representation of the mind. The heart is another physical representation of the mind. The gut is another physical representation of the mind. Those are the prominent ones. And they're the places where large amounts of melanin exist, because that's what allows us to be able to perceive this whole dimension. Because when people say this is a simulation, it doesn't mean that what we're experiencing is not real. It means that it's a part of one reality. But in truth, I would say in reality, but it's like so repetitive. That's about to be a commercial. But in reality, you exist in a lot of different realms, realities at one time. But when you're in the earth realm, because it's so dense, it's so physical, wish we made it that way, but because of that, you forget all of the other places that you are simultaneously existing in. This is why you have deja vu. This is why some people feel very familiar, or you've had flashbacks when you're with certain people. You may have seen someone before you met them, maybe in a vision or in a dream. So this is an instance of experiencing the fourth dimension. Okay. But when we realize what we're experiencing, and we can choose to experience that in any given point in time for any reason, we can get what we want from the quantum field. Like, we can learn the things that we need to learn about the universe, and in turn about the universe inside of each one of us. But we're in a culture of constant consumption, constantly filling the mind with so many things that have nothing to do with where we want to see ourselves, or the things that we want to learn, the ways that we want to grow. I think that people sometimes get confused when I talk about consumption, and they think that when I talk about TV, I'm just talking about the news, but I'm talking about almost everything that they put on that little box. It's all, not all of it, but a vast majority of it is very detrimental to the expression of the soul, because all of the time you're under psychic attack. You don't even realize that, right? And people who are not energetically sensitive, they really don't realize that, but they also are under psychic attack. So back to the mind and how that all functions. So that the subconscious mind is a portal to the cosmos, to every dimension in existence. You have to travel through there to remember the fact that you exist outside of this experience that you're engaged in right now, seeing me in this physical body, in this particular existence, as lovely and beautiful as it is. It is not who I am. It's not all of me, and I'm very aware of that. But this is the body and the life that my soul chose to inhabit in this lifetime for many, many reasons. And everybody should know their reasons. But it's very hard to know that with so many distractions. And that's another part of this being an illusory realm. Not only is this not your only existence the way that you think it is, but you're constantly being inundated with things to keep your focus outside of yourself. So, they tell you everything that you're supposed to be doing inside of that body that you chose for this lifetime. Oh, you're going to tune into this at that time. You're going to go to this event at that time. You're going to watch this. Oh, everybody needs to watch that. Oh, we're all on social media talking about this same show, talking about this or that. What does any of that shit have to do with us? Like, for real? Because not only is it irrelevant, but honestly, the themes that they're perpetuating in the media today, it's bullshit. And every time we continue to consume these things, it's saying, I like bullshit, feed me bullshit, make me sicker, because in reality, I know that a lot of the collective they're going through different mental states and emotional states. And a lot of people are really not that happy. They want to know what their calling is. They want to know who they are. They want to know why they're here. They want to know what life is about. And when we consume so much that has nothing to do with that, how do we expect to know ourselves and love ourselves? How are we prioritizing ourselves? We're allowing someone else to give us our priorities. And everybody's doing it, you know? Your parents are doing it, your teachers are doing it. So it's cool, it's normal, right? But we have to be careful with accepting these norms, especially as the media. It's one thing when it was like, okay, this is entertaining, and there was like really wholesome things going on. I mean, you can find some wholesome shows or whatever, but a lot of this shit, I promise you, on a much, much deeper level, the shadow government is implementing a lot of different agendas targeted at every single demographic to help keep that veil between their conscious and their subconscious minds so thick that they won't know left from right when it comes to who they are and why they're here. You're not here to watch other people live their lives on TV making money, or whether they're real people characters or not, you know. Now, there's different qualities and levels to everything. So there's a lot of art that you can consume that can really help with the expansion of your subconscious. So all you have to do is be real with yourself when you are consuming something about how you feel about it. That's the main thing. But also to prioritize your time in a way that you have plenty of time to filter through your own thoughts, to sit in stillness and darkness, or in quietude, because that's how, like, people, a lot of times people will want like certain books that I've read, or you know, it's like, how are you aware of these things? But in reality, nothing taught me more than what I taught myself sitting in silence. Real talk. Like, the way that the air, the way that we communicate to the earth, there's so many ways for us to do it. And through the elements is one of the primary ways that we do it. And how we use our voice, people who make music, people who sing, etc., they are communicating through the air. That's why they call them sound waves, right? And, you know, that information, like, I ended up finding that information in a book, but that was after I already came up with that information when I was sitting in a room by myself, and about how that works for air signs and how that can lead to their exaltation, the expression of them being able to utilize their voice. And that's just one quick example, because I literally just opened up a book to a page yesterday about that after I had a download about it a few weeks ago. But it's getting a little hot in here. So I just moved into my new place, so I am, excuse my setup, I am planning to set something up a little bit nicer, but I'm still just finishing unpacking a few things, and I've, you know, ordered a few things, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. So, and then comes the commercial to distract. But anyway, so the point is, you are the conduit. You are connected to source. You are in God's body right now. You can, there's so much that you can do. There's so much that you can become aware of. And, but you're going to have to put your foot down and not be like all these other people and not do the shit that they do and be fixated on the things that they be fixated on. And that's not always easy at first, you know. I know for me, I always knew that I was going to be on this path since I was a little girl. Because I was in church like, this is not making sense. I was like 7 years old. And I knew I would get into exactly what I'm into right now, but I delayed my exploration, my full deep diving into that, because I knew it would change everything. It would change what I was interested in, what resonated with me, who I would hang out with, just everything. You know, when I was younger, when I was coming up, I wanted to just be a regular kid, you know, and I was like a cool kid, so I wasn't trying. Subconsciously, I already knew if I go down this path, everything changes. But eventually I got tired of being a normal person and not knowing why I came here and what life is about, and why I chose this incarnation, why I chose this body, the family that I was born into with all its imperfections and everything. The city, my whole natal chart, everything. You know, so anyway, I got tired of being an average lost person, and I just gave into that pool, and I did everything differently, and I started actually being able to connect with source, with the cosmos, and know who I am. And everything changed. It really did change. I was right. Who I resonated with, who I would spend time with, what I would spend my time on, it all did change. But now I know that it was for the best. I would never in this life trade the path that I'm on right now. I'm so grateful for it. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. What's the moon in? Taurus? Cusping Gemini. But anyway, it's just my, it should be like getting close to cusping Gemini by now. It's just my south node. But anyway, enough about me. So when you give yourself the opportunity to get out of the matrix of distractions, right? Because the matrix is not just the matrix as it became known from the movie. A matrix is any web of interconnected systems that creates a reality. So the first matrix that we experienced here was the Earth matrix, you know, and us experiencing this same collective reality together at once. And then, you know, there's a matrix of how this society on Earth is set up, right? You go to your job, you go to school, you work a 9 to 5, you pay your bills, da-da-da-da-da. The status quo world order. And once you give yourself, the more things that you do that are outside of the usual routines of that matrix, the more you free yourself of the illusions that excuse me, you're trapped within that matrix. So every illusion is it's a fourth dimensional place that you're stuck in, a fourth dimensional prison, essentially. But you are the only person with the key. And that's what people don't realize. Instead of taking the time out to prioritize finding out what's really going on. Everybody gets angsty at the world. And I've been there too, you know. The system, the oppression, the this, the that. And, you know, all of those are experiences that we've had to go through, that humans created collectively. But at the end of the day, lamenting all that isn't going to do shit for you. But what it will do is it will put you in resistance mode. So instead of being able to be present enough to really get the guidance on what's going on, you're always trying to escape the moment, because it will never be good enough until you understand what it is. But it requires that time with yourself. You need to build a relationship with yourself. Fuck these people on TV, these celebrities, the things they talk about, the things they do. Even though, you know, I might use a couple of them for to show you about how something spiritual works. For sure. That's the best thing they can be used for, examples of what not to do. Yet, so many humans think if they were in their position, they'd be happy. But these people, most of them are not happy. The bigger the light, the bigger the shadow. And if you haven't been down a spiritual path, you can't handle that shit. If you have the spiritual tools, you're made for that. But if not, then you're not. And that's why you see them go crazy, commit suicide, overdose on drugs, spend money on things that could in no way make anyone happy, because, I mean, once you have so much, how much more can you do? You know? But they're trying to fill that void. Because if these celebrities really knew who they were, do you think that they would represent the things that they do? Talk about the things that they do in their music? Don't you think they will produce their own movies instead of just, you know, auditioning for roles that were already created for them in movies that someone else already created? Yeah. But you know what? This is why so many things are going on right now to try to deter this mass, what is it? It's a revolution of the soul. People are remembering who they are. And they don't want to look to these authority figures anymore. I don't know if you guys realize yet, but if your main focus is on the things that the majority is on, then you have already forfeited your own sovereignty and autonomy. Because you're doing exactly what you are programmed to do. And what you're programmed to do is the opposite of what you came here to do. Yeah, it gets deep. So basically, though, all I want you to do is start taking some time out to be with yourself or be with nature. You know, you can utilize nature. That's more alchemy. Like I was talking about how every note, every color has a whole world inside of it. it is a cosmic code with so much information that you could unravel, like DNA. That's how nature is as well. And that's how your body is too. So even the surface of your skin, everything, it's alive and it's picking up all the time on so much subtle information. This is our connection to Neptune as well. So look for Neptunian aspects in your chart. If you have any Neptunian aspects, that can help point toward what type of things are help you to alchemize your power, you know, to turn your presence into a conduit for knowledge, which is expansion and growth and alignment with the path that your higher self created for you to experience before you came here, and then you forgot because of all of these distractions that are much easier to fall into. It's much harder. I don't want to say harder, but it's much more of a challenge, and it's much more rare to encounter somebody that stood 10 toes down on their purpose, like on being who they are outside of all of these things that they tell us make a life. And so the nature spirits are always with us. We're connected to them. You already know, because I mention it all the time, that any element in your body heavier than iron has traveled through at least one supernova. The elements in our body are the same as the elements in the stars. Okay, same elements as the earth, the same element, the same minerals that plants need to grow and to be nutritious. That's why plants aren't even as nutritious anymore as they once were, because the soil is depleted because of capitalism. Because these people try to get as much as they can for as little as they can. And they go further and further and further and further with it. Right? So that's why now they're trying to get rid of people's jobs. And if your job is not on the internet, you know, and replace it with self-checkout, with the robot, this or that, because it's cheaper. So they can get more money for less. So we can keep accepting these new norms, or we can accept that they want to turn us into cyborgs, which is not, it can't happen, because it's people like me that can never happen to. But there's a lot of people that can happen to, because of where their chakras, how their chakras are functioning. And the weekend root chakra. How do you think all of these lands were conquered? It's a lot deeper than the surface. But anyway, the nature spirits. So for me right now, I'm being called more to be outside at night, spend more time with the full electromagnetic spectrum of light, which is only available under the night sky, not from the sun. I was going up to mountains a lot, to the desert a lot, you know, and just communing, being in communion with the nature spirits and receiving that ancient wisdom from them. And it's a two-way street. We communicate back and forth. Like, do you know one way that we communicate with the earth, and we've been doing it for eons, however you say it. We've been doing that forever. And it's dance. Dance is one of the primary ways that we let earth know that we're happy, so that we can continue to shift. Like I said, we created everything with the mind, right? Which is really, as I was saying earlier, non-local and exists in different parts that evoke our ability to feel. The gut, the heart, the mind. And so we are creating what we'll experience, the earth that we'll experience in the future. We're creating it right now. So when we dance, we're telling the earth, I'm enjoying this experience with you. I'm enjoying being here. I'm in an uplifted frequency vibration. And I want to commune with you right now and show my gratitude that I am here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for providing all of this life for me to have this physical embodiment so that I can dance. I can express my soul on a physical plane. So this is why stepping, every culture, like even going way back, even like Irish, everybody steps. You know, they have some type of line dance where people can stomp on the ground in a synchronistic rhythm. This is a conversation with the earth, because everything is about a pattern, right? So even with numbers, like when we talk about numbers having a frequency, what tells us what a sequence of numbers means is the pattern that the numbers are spelled out in. It's a sequence, like Morse code. You know, if it has a certain amount of zeros and ones combined, it says a different word. Or Morse code, right? Different series of dots, it's a different code. A different combination of colors, like a flag, it's a code. So when we dance and you do that, and mind you, you never see those that are not like, do you see like a flag that's not symmetrical? Do you see just everything is symmetrical, you know? So when we that's how things are created in this realm. That's called duality. If it has one side, there's something complementing it on the other side. So and remember, we created that sense of duality the more dense we made things, because we did want to experience the physical. So when we stomp or dance, do a line dance, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like if you do it in a whole group, then obviously that is being felt, that, wow, there's all of these beings doing this formation at once. Wow, they're celebrating together. They're communing with me, you know. If you do it by yourself, that's cool too. But yeah, through the patterns is like it's like an evolved conversation, right? You could just jump up and down too, and that can communicate. But yeah, so, and just like when we go outside, the science behind grounding, you put your bare soles, I know these are not, but still, you get the idea. You see how this is made out of something completely different than this, because the palms and the soles are both portals. And so how I was saying before, that the skin is alive and it takes in everything. Our sense of touch is supposed to remind us of that we feel sensation here. So when we touch things, there is a conversation happening. There is a convergence and an alchemy happening. And that's why when you put the soles of your feet on the earth, you get those codes. And not everyone can decipher, not everyone is yet at the place where they decipher specific information from those codes, but everyone can get a boost in vitality, of feeling healthy, of feeling psychologically grounded from doing, from putting their bare feet on the earth, right? We know there's plenty of science out about that and blah, blah, blah. But the same thing happens, right? Like with our hands, we put our hands on a tree or a flower petal, you know, in the sand or whatever. It's to remind us of our intelligence that goes so far beyond our intelligence and our origins, that goes so far beyond what we're consciously aware of right now.